So today we're talking about how to budget for first-time home buyers.
We have 5 essential tips that we think will help you guys in the home buying process.
So the first one being know your budget. And it sounds like dumb, like, obviously know your budget, but you have to calculate, how much you're making, how much you can actually put down.
So let's say you make $25 an hour and you work 5 days a week and you calculate that for the whole month. You have to make sure that you're also including, of course, taxes, because they might take out more than you're calculating for. So I recommend, if you haven't already, get your first paycheck and see exactly how much you'll be making.
You should also write out all your monthly expenses, just so you can visually see, everything that you're spending, including, like your bills, like subscriptions. You can include any extra stuff like spending money for your clothes.
So in order for me to do this, I wrote it on just a little note on my phone, and we'll do a little pop-up here of an example. And you'll notice that we included Hulu, Netflix, even small things. I think I have a Apple charge for $4 a month, but it all adds up. So you want to know your exact monthly expenses, so then you can perfectly budget and know how much you can save each month.
So our second tip is, once you know your budget, you can start saving monthly.
For example, once you write out all of your income and your monthly expenses, then you can see how much you have left over each month, and you can see how much you're willing to put into a savings account. So for example, Francisco and I are both nurses, so we make about $4,000 each a month, and so we plan to save $3,000 each a month, so $6,000 total, but that gives us $1,000 each to pay for our monthly expenses, and then a little extra for when we want to go do something, or if I get a flat tire and I need to pay for it or whatever.
For you guys, it could be 75% of whatever you guys make, you can dedicate that to putting toward your budget, and then the other you can try, depending on everyone's situation, you can try to live off of that other 25% for as long as you can. And then obviously if you need the money, you can pull it out of your dedicated budget, but just try to really just leave it in there. You have to sacrifice going out, spending money on food out, all that stuff. You have to just kind of be narrow on your budget.
And I would say that our savings is an extreme case. I know that a lot of people won't be able to save this much, but we're fortunate enough that we live at Francisco's parents' house, and we only pay for our car and Netflix and little things where we're able to save. So if you're only able to save 50%, don't feel bad about it. And we saved this way because we're budgeting right now for our home and also for our wedding. So we wanted to save as much as we possibly could while we were living at Francisco's parents, because this is the only time we're ever going to be able to save this much. So once you know how much you can save each month, I personally like to also write that in a note. So I'll put another pop-up here, and it just shows at the end of each month, this is how much I'm predicted to have, so that I know okay, by the end of March I'll have $12,000, and if I want to buy something that's $3,000, I can incorporate that into the savings.
Tip number 3 is start house shopping. So you should get pre-approved for a home before you go home shopping, so that you know what your budget is.
For example, if you want to get your loan through Chase, you would go to Chase Bank and you'd give them all of your information, and they would tell you, okay, you're approved for $450,000. So then when you go home shopping that you can only, that's your budget. You can't go over that unless you have obviously cash.
And then also the important thing is to figure out how much you're willing to put down as a down payment, so that it can lower your monthly costs.
For example, we were planning on putting 10% down on our home. We thought our home was going to be done in May, so we thought we had a lot more time to save than we actually do, because we got an email saying, oh, it's going to be done in March. So then we had our lender redo our loan estimate with 8% down payment, because it just makes more sense, because eventually we're gonna have to buy other things for the house and do our backyard. We just felt it'd be a lot easier. And then again, we're also saving for a wedding, so we need to budget for that as well. There's also so many loan options. So if 8% sounds insane to you, I think the lowest amount you can put down is 3.5% for an FHA loan, and you can look up YouTube videos on different loans and options and first-time home buyer options and all of that.
The 4th tip that we have is to think of everything that goes into actually buying the home.
Another thing that we recommend is budgeting for all of the big items that you're going to need to buy for your home. For example, you're going to need to buy a couch, a bed frame, a fridge, washer and dryer, Some of the like new construction builds will come with that stuff, and I think even used homes like will come with like a fridge maybe. But if your home doesn't, you need to remember you're going to be putting thousands of dollars into these appliances and these furniture pieces. So remember that when you're deciding how much you want to put for your down payment and how much your house is in general.
And then just remember to always like buy little things throughout the process so that when you get the house, it's not as overwhelming. You know, it's little things like having like forks and knives, a vase that you want to put somewhere, things like that, like that you won't really think of until you're actually there. You should start thinking of them before you get the house so that when you get it, it's not so overwhelming.
We actually just made a video on our first essentials home haul. We bought quite a few things of just like little things you don't always think of, like a doormat and stuff. So if you want to check that video out, we'll put a link here.
Tip number 5 is to be smart and research.
When you're getting a home and you're applying for a home loan, your lender should tell you this, but ours, I don't think mentioned it. I just happened to come across it on like Google or YouTube or whatever it was. When you're applying for a home loan, you don't want to apply for other loans or even other like little credit cards, because that can mess with your credit. Your loan could then get denied because you're not officially a home buyer until your closing day, and that can be a few days before you actually move in. For example, if you want to buy a couch and you can't afford it right this second, don't get a credit card. Wait, either put it on a credit card you already have, or wait until you actually move in to apply for a credit card. And I know like a lot of furniture stores have like 12 months of 0% interest, and it's like really low, like $12 monthly payment.
You should ask your home lender for any incentives that they might offer. For us, since we're both nurses, they had a healthcare worker incentive, and they gave us, I think, what?
$1,500.
Yeah, and so that, you know, added to the closing costs. So that deducted that amount of money, but there's other incentives that they might offer, but they're not, you know, just gonna tell you because they lose money. You have to kind of ask for them.
So the other incentive that we got was if we went through the new construction builds lender instead of like Chase or Wells Fargo or some random lender, they gave us $7,000 or $7,500 towards our closing costs as well. So we got a total of $9,000. Another thing I would say is, I don't know if you guys are aware that when you have a mortgage, every mortgage, I think everywhere, it's due first of the month. So if you close on, let's say, March 3rd, you don't have to pay your mortgage until the 1st that comes by. So you won't have to pay for all of March, all of April, and then you would pay June 1st. I mean May 1st. So that gives you like 2 almost entire months of not paying mortgage. So try to be smart and do it at the beginning of the month.
If you guys found it informative, please like.
This video. If you guys found it informative.
If you guys found this video informative, please give this video a like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
No.
Okay, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in our next video.